Hey, all right, y'all. We are back with another episode of Perplexing Generation. It's your girl Justice, and we got your boy.
Adam Lewis here. Oh yeah.
Still sounding like the Kool-Aid man, right?
Yep.
And we got some good topics for y'all today, right? We got a wide variety of things that we're gonna talk about. There was like one thing I wanted to mention real quick, and I just forgot about it. But all right, I forgot about it, so we're not going to even go into that.
I'll
So,
come back.
but
Come back. Don't
we'll
worry.
come back. We'll come back to it. But to get into our first topic, I think we're talking about the Virginia shooter, the Virginia Beach shooter.
Oh yeah, that's like the most recent, biggest news right now.
Yeah.
You can pull
Uh,
out.
so yeah, so let's go ahead and get into that.
All right. So you want to mention his name? It's up to you. I don't feel any two types of ways about it, but I think his name is going to be mentioned a lot because of the like what happened and like the what you call it, like, and because it's a black guy, like
That's true.
yeah, this is very rare. That's very rare that this happens.
It is very rare, which is why I'm wondering what like the intentions are, but also I don't like saying people's names sometimes just because
Yeah,
I feel like they want that fame. They
yeah, that's why
want to hear people like talk about them like that.
that's exactly why I asked about it because I'm like, I don't know. So you
Yeah.
want to say his name?
Nah, I ain't gonna mention his name. If you do, that's cool, but I'm not gonna mention his name.
All right, no, no, I won't say his name. But
Yeah.
this guy, a disgruntled employee by the looks of it, um, he went into his the place of business. I think it was a municipal building, something like that, in Virginia Beach, and he killed 12 people and injured four. And I'm not sure what kind of weapon he used or anything like that, but like he was in a shootout with the police after that, and he did not make it. And he was a black guy, and it's very rare for black people to engage in mass shootings like that. It's kind of random, very random.
I agree, which is why I thought it was kind of weird when I heard it. I've heard about this story before, and I was just tired of like I'm tired of seeing so many things, but tired of seeing like mass shootings, and
Yeah,
then we as a country never do anything about that. Like either do more gun control laws or try to figure out how to not get people who may have like mental health issues or just crazy people in general, like um how not how not to have them end up with guns in their hands. So
yeah,
I looked into it a little bit, but I didn't do too much research about it. But it was just weird to me. I don't understand how someone like that just goes into a place of business and decides to kill off people like that so randomly, so not caring about like who's doing what, if they have family or anything of that nature. I don't understand.
yeah. And from like what I'm seeing, like it's not like I guess it was random people, but he worked with him, So it's like, damn, what the hell did they do to you? Like they're just part of they just work here just like you. They're not in charge of what you're going through really, unless it was something personal. But this just happened yesterday, so I think more news is just coming in. So
So like yeah, so they're getting more like details about the situation.
yeah,
Okay.
and then like the thing about that you were saying about like the we don't change anything is in New Zealand after they had that shooting at the two mosques, they changed their laws within a couple of hours. Since
Yeah.
that they did that, we've had I think two or three now shootings, school shootings, mass shootings, all that kind of stuff, and we still ain't doing nothing about it.
I think the question at this point is, okay, so what's the angle here? Because we're going to keep having mass shootings. That's not going to stop. That part is not going to stop. So where do we go from here? Do we do more gun control laws, which seems like the most viable way to go, or do we try to limit the access of the kinds of guns people can have access to, like an AK-47 or anything that can kill people in mass and with a lot of bullets. Like I don't know what kind of guns are out there, y'all. So forgive me for that one. But like, yeah, I honestly, I don't know. So but I'm saying that to say it's like, how many people are going to have to die and lose their lives in order for us to actually do something about it? And that honestly goes back to the episode that we had last week, because you want to stop women, you want to stop women from killing children or getting abortions, or however you see it. You want to stop women from doing that. But once people are actually here, you don't give a fuck about what kind of life they live or how they die.
Exactly.
Like none of that matters. So it's just, I don't know. It's a contradiction. Is really what it is. Because it's like, as long as you're here, we don't give a fuck. But if you're in a woman's body, we care about what happens. Doesn't make any fucking sense.
Yeah, it doesn't. Not at all. That's I don't know where they get that logic because it's backwards as hell. But it's gonna be with the gun thing. It's gonna be really hard for people to give up their guns. That's not. I don't see that happening. But it does make more sense for them to like control more the types of guns that we have in the high capacity magazines and things like that. Like you within a rifle, like I don't want to call it assault rifle because some people get like all offended because it's not supposed to be for assault, but that's what they're made to for human targets. Those guns are made for human targets, whether you like it or not. You're not going hunting with the 30 round clip. Like for what?
Yeah.
If you need 30 rounds, you're not a good hunter. But like that, I think they should change that definitely. Like you shouldn't be able, as just a normal citizen, unless you fill out all the required paperwork and you go through all different kinds of things, and then the police around you even know that you have this gun. But you shouldn't be able to get as a normal citizen high capacity rounds. You don't need 30 bullets and one gun, and then you could just carry that around. It doesn't make sense.
Right,
And
which I think is very reasonable.
yeah, like self protection, that's one thing. Like you first of all, you shouldn't have a gun if you haven't gone through the safety course, and if
Hmm.
you're you should have it should be like driving. You should be able to hit a target so many times, or else you don't get your license. So you shouldn't need 30 rounds. Like if you can't do it with nine, or seven, then you don't get a gun. You can't have a gun. Get a taser or something, some pepper spray, because your accuracy is off.
And to be clear, I'm not against people necessarily having guns. Like I don't know if you heard about the situation with Bun B and his wife, where
Oh
a
yeah,
dude, yeah, a dude literally like was trying to rob him, and because Bun B had a gun, he was able to drive dude off. Like I
yeah.
get that, but Bun B had a handgun. You feel me? Like it was a handgun. That makes sense. He didn't have a full ass assault rifle. I don't give a fuck how people feel about it. He didn't have an assault rifle and was just like shooting everywhere or anything like that. Like that makes sense. You don't want to give up your guns. A handgun makes sense. Maybe a shotgun, but I don't understand what you would use a shotgun for. But
That's all right. So that's those shotguns are you don't really gotta have good aim. You just point and shoot, and you gotta hit your target if they're close enough. That's why.
okay.
And inside of a small enclosed place, like that's what people use, and that's home protection. Like most people would tell you, that's exactly what you need for home protection is a shotgun. A handgun
Okay.
is smaller caliber. You gotta have some aim, or else you're gonna miss.
All right. But
Not
see
like
that.
the
Go ahead.
no, I was just saying it's not like the movies. Like ain't ain't no John Wicks out here for real.
Nah, I don't believe that, but I think with at least a smaller handgun,
Yeah,
in my opinion, what they should do is that people should not. I don't think people's rights to bear arms should be taken away, but the
yeah.
type of guns should be limited. Like for example, like you said, the high capacity machine guns. Those should be out. Not regular citizens. Regular American citizens should not be trusted to have those type of guns. We've already seen what happens. So let people have their guns, but also let people have some kind of requirements for it. All right, so let's go to a shooting range.
Yeah,
Actually understand and know how to shoot. That way you know what you're doing and you understand like what is it, how powerful a gun is, and you're not just doing dumb shit with it, you
yeah.
know? Like you
Every time you fire, you're potentially about to take a life. Like when you pull
pretty
that trigger,
much
you got to think about that, you know. And they don't take all that to account. It's just this is my right as an American, and let me get that big one over there. You know, that's all it is.
basically, and it's
That
weird because you brought it up. There's more regulation with driving than there is with
doesn't
guns, and that's weird.
make sense at all. Like I don't
No,
know how it is in that state, but California, we don't really have guns like that. Gun stores, there's not too. There is a couple, but they're not just all willy nilly everywhere. When I was in,
no.
I went to Walmart and I was walking around and I was just exploring because I'm in a new state. You know, I'm just looking around the Walmart because they had different stuff in there, like bow and arrows and stuff like that, and BB guns. And I keep going down the same way, and then they just have a glass cabinet filled with all kinds of guns in Walmart. They even had little baby pink shotguns for children. I was like, what the hell is
What?
this? They had a little baby shotgun. It was small, like so a child could hold it properly and still shoot, same caliber and everything. I was like, what the hell? This is crazy. Like we don't we know we do, but when it comes to situations like this and when things like this happens, we try to ignore that. We live in a gun culture. Like this whole country loves guns. We teach our kids how to shoot, all kinds of stuff. We just love guns. And I think it would the conversation would change a little more if we just were more honest about that. Like I like having this rifle because it makes me feel cool, you know? Like
Which is fine. Like I don't care
exactly
about taking your rifle away. What I care about is a little kid going with a high capacity magazine and being able to shoot up a whole bunch of people. And
cool.
then you're so afraid of your guns being taken away that no one does anything about it. Like that's crazy.
Yeah,
So,
I don't know how it's gonna change until I forgot who said it, but they're saying when a bunch of black people join the NRA and we start showing like we have guns and militias and all that stuff, like most of these white people do, the gun laws are going to change real fast, just like they did in California with the Black Panthers. We can't open carry here no more.
yep, you're absolutely right. It's
When
weird
when
how black people have to do shit in order for things to get done.
exactly exactly we gotta some group is gonna have to do something, and I'm not saying that I want them to do that, but that's what's gonna happen, something like that, and then they're gonna be like, look, you see all these niggas with these big ass guns and they're training? They know how to really use them. We got to get that out of there. Gun laws
Pretty
got to
much.
change.
Pretty much. I yeah. On one hand, I don't want that to happen just because of the way the justice system is and the way that it treats black people. So I don't want it to happen, but at the same time, if we really want to get this shit solved, that's the best way to do it. Have a whole bunch of niggas with guns, and then all of a sudden those gun laws will get changed real quick.
Yep.
It's unfortunate.
We cannot have this. An uprising is coming.
Pretty much. Pretty much. And it's weird. I don't know, man. I don't know. The whole the whole situation is weird to me. It's weird to me how, again, how you can care so much about a life when it's inside of a woman's body, but like after the child has come out into this world, you don't give a fuck. You don't give a fuck about how that child is fed, what kind of conditions it's in when it's growing up, what kind of life it may have going forward, the fact that that the child could potentially die in school, like none of that fucking matters.
Man, and you hear like that, like you saying that right now just sounded crazy as hell. Like the child could potentially die at school. Like what the fuck? Like what? My child could potentially die at school. Like I couldn't even imagine because I don't have any kids, so I can imagine that seeing that on the news, and then I got to send my kid to school tomorrow. Like somebody just killed children at school, and I got to send my kid to school tomorrow. What
I'm
the?
supposed to trust that my child is going to be safe in that school system when you've literally proven that there's no fucks given after the child is born. After the child is born, anything goes. Like that's weird to me, though. Doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, after that, which one was it? When they, I think it was Sandy Hook when he, that kid or somebody. It was like a young guy went inside of like a, I think it was a grade
Elementary
school or
school.
something.
Yeah, it was
Yeah,
like an elementary school, bro.
I thought for sure when that happened, things are gonna change for sure, but they didn't. I was just
Which
waiting for like tomorrow. I thought it was gonna be just like what happened in New Zealand. Like the next day, president's gonna be on TV having a what you call it, um, an address or a state address, whatever it's called,
mm-hmm.
and gun laws are gonna change. But no, like this dude literally went into a school and killed kids, and like in a messed up way, I kind of understand if it's a kid that did it at his school, he was getting bullied or whatever reason he had, you know. But that was a older person that went into
Right.
that school and just killed kids. Like, what kind of sick motherfucker
And
you
I
got to
think
be?
his mother worked there or used to work there or some shit like that. And that's what made it even more sick.
You know, that's yeah. But yeah, I
Yeah.
don't see how people in power though don't want to be like, okay, I have kids. I don't want that to happen to mine. It's unfortunate that this happened. Let's kind of change the laws a little bit so this doesn't happen again.
Yeah, I thought it was weird because it didn't happen in a high populated area like in a California, a Texas,
Yeah.
or like in New York. It was in Connecticut of all places. I do remember that, and I remember thinking to myself, just like you did, okay, the laws are going to change after this. There's no way kids can be killed in that way, in that manner, in that school shooting, and nothing happened. But
Yeah,
nothing happened. Like literally nothing happened.
so
Which
crazy.
kind of makes me think of this next question, which is so what exactly is going on in this country? Like what is happening? We can't decide or no one can figure out anything. You can't decide exactly how to run the country. You can't decide what kind of laws you want to enact. You don't want to pay people a living wage so that they can live, but you also want those same people to have enough children to replace for the next generation. Yet those same people are also supposed to all go to tech and be able to compete with other world powers. And it's just like, but nothing is being done to actually help. And all it seems like we're doing, at least to me, in Congress, is arguing over what's supposed to be done instead of getting anything done, which is
Bro,
trash.
you know what I would say it looks like if I was on the outside looking in? It looks like our country is collapsing on itself.
Mm,
And just like most, if you're a student of history, if you like history, most great civilizations fall. And I think we're living through that and we're about to see that happen.
I think it might. If changes aren't made, I think it might. But
Just
if there's anything I know about humans, we don't change our behavior. We don't change our behavior. We don't change things until something drastic happens.
and,
Like,
and most times until it something drastic happens, but it directly affects
right,
us.
right.
You know, like personally, like on a personal level, like this happened to my family. Now I feel some type of way. Now I'm an advocate for this, but like you didn't care about it before, like when it was somebody else's family, but now you're so gung ho about it. It
Exactly.
shouldn't be like that. There's no empathy though anymore. It's very most people aren't empathetic.
No, empathy is gone. I don't know where the fuck it went, but it actually is gone because unless something happens to someone close and in the family, it just seems like most Americans don't give a fuck. Which is why it was weird to me when Trayvon Martin's shooting happened.
Yeah,
And I don't want to say it like young black men and women haven't like been killed throughout history because I would be remiss to even think something like that never happened. But
yeah.
for Trayvon Martin shooting to happen the way it did, and it wasn't even by a cop, it was by a dude who was paranoid by himself and
Yeah, it was
started
like
following Trayvon Martin around. And for the
neighborhood
country
watch
to be
security.
pretty much, and for the country to be so divided on it, like, well, maybe I'm not going to say that bitch's name, but maybe that person was scared. Maybe you know, he had the right to do it, and maybe Trayvon attacked him. It was like, but you hear the phone call, you hear him following this dude. He's
Yeah,
not doing anything but walking down the street. When he died, all he had was some juice and a pack of Skittles. Is
yep.
that really dangerous though?
And
So,
then all the things that they try to say, like he was getting high off of those things. He smoked before and all that. Like, what does that have to do with what happened to him?
right, like it has nothing to do with what happened, but it's just character assassination. It's
Just
basically
like
what it
the
is.
Texas little white bitch that killed I believe he was from Trinidad, the Trinidadian brother. Uh,
Really.
they said that he had smoked weed prior to him getting killed, and so they're trying to character. He got killed in his own house, and you're gonna character assassinate someone like who got killed in their own
Yeah,
house by a cop who wasn't paying attention,
yeah,
who was on some
basically.
BS.
I still got to do some research and figure out what that happened with that situation because I'll be damned if she gets off lightly. That doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, I don't know what exactly happened with that one. I would have to do the same, but we shouldn't have to be researching it right now. Is like she should already be in jail. Like, there's what's the excuse for that? Even if it was an accident, if you get manslaughter as a normal citizen, you still got to serve some time. Most
Yeah,
time,
yes.
it was
A
an
good
accident,
seven,
but you
eight
still
years.
you still took a
Something.
life. So go sit here and think about that.
Pretty
She
much.
is not getting that same treatment, and it's because she has that blue shield protection, and she's a white woman.
That's the unfortunate part.
And also too, I was just about to say that's perfect that you said that about Trayvon Martin and how that bitch ass motherfucker that followed him was on the phone with the police because the same thing kind of happened, but not the same way. There was a traffic um like altercation or something. There was like road rage, and a young white woman called the police on I think it was 67,
Wow.
67-year-old black dude, followed him home while she's on the phone, and they're telling her not to follow him, leave him alone, all this kind of stuff. She follows him and kills him in his driveway, shoots him.
Over road rage?
Yes, over road rage.
What did
21-year-old.
you cut off?
She was a 20, probably, I think so. She probably got cut off or something like that. Nothing to take somebody's life, though. There's no traffic infraction that I could see, or not infraction, but anything happening in traffic as far as just driving, that would warrant somebody getting killed. I don't see that. And it's a 21-year-old girl like that that killed this 67-year-old, 62-year-old. He fled the scene
So,
of a car accident. That's what happened.
oh, he fled the scene of a car accident.
That's what it. Yeah. So
Okay.
even if he was fleeing the scene, you call the cops, follow the car, give him the license plate. But what gives you the right to get out of the car and kill this dude?
Take his life.
Yeah.
Like that's I'm sure that's somebody's dad you took away, and that could be somebody's
Yep.
granddad that you took away
Yep.
because you were upset about your car being crashed.
And reading the article, it's not even clear that it was her car. She probably just witnessed it and was like, you know how that happens. I'm about to do a
Yeah.
citizen's arrest. They just feel so entitled to like, all right, I got to take part in this, and that's why I was like, okay, if it's a car accident and that person that was involved in the car accident, the other one, not the one that didn't flee, can't move their car, it's very admirable of you to follow the other car and take down their license plate, call the police, and give them their information so that person, if they're injured, they can get all the proper treatment, everything happens. But why do you have to follow this person and kill him? And why do you think you can and nothing's going to happen to you?
Okay. So I'm gonna say this because I don't think people really understand what black people are asking for when we talk about equal treatment. We don't mean that if there's some fuck shit going on, meaning that a person committed a crime
Yeah.
or anything like that happened, we don't mean that they should get off with it. What we mean is is that they should get a just due. They should be entitled to people who are fair-minded to judge their case. The DA and the prosecutor shouldn't be in on it trying to get that person in jail, as well as the judge. And random citizens should not be able to, quote unquote, make a citizen's arrest based upon their own paranoia and fear and end up killing somebody.
Yeah.
That's what we mean. It's very simple. It's actually not that hard.
Not at all.
What we're asking to do is be treated like human beings. It's very simple. The same way that you look at that white person, please look at us the same way. Because all we're trying to do is go about our day and get our shit together, just like you do. The difference is that when you see us, unfortunately, people see these fictionalized versions, these monsters,
Characters.
these caricatures of ourselves that we didn't even create. The media created.
Yep.
And it's costing us our lives. It's literally costing us our lives.
Literally, it's literally costing us our lives.
That's what's weird. Man, like it's, I wouldn't want to be anything else but black. I'm glad I came into this world as a black person, as a melanated person. I will never regret that. But this shit is hard. Like this shit is absolutely difficult. All I want to do is just be able to live my damn life, and you got to worry about dumb shit like this.
Yep.
Like just
on top of so much else too.
On top of so much, like we go through the same shit other people go through. We got to figure out how we're gonna pay rent, how we're going to get a degree, just like regular shit human beings go through.
Imagine like
Problems
you're
with
that
family,
stressed doing
problems
all
with
that.
friends. Man, stress, just
You're
all that shit.
and then like, are you stressed doing all that day to day, and all you want to do is like, all right, I'm gonna go get a coffee from Starbucks, and you can't even do that because they're gonna call the cops on you if you're just sitting there. I finished my drink, I'm gonna toss it, and I'm gonna just sit here real quick and just be on my phone and relax in this quiet environment. Well, after I finish my coffee, and don't throw your cup away, because then you're gonna get that tap on the shoulder, like, "Excuse me, sir, you can't loiter here. I'm a paying customer." And you're gonna see some squad cars roll up. Like, man, get your ass out of here. You are under arrest.
Or you could be in the neighborhood. Maybe things is kind of stressful. You decide to throw a barbecue, invite a few people.
Keep the smoke on your property.
And somebody comes and they call the police on you for having a barbecue. When all they had to do was ask for a plate.
Man, I know you're hungry. Just come on. You could.
It's
All you gotta do is cousin. I know you're not really, but just come get a plate. Come on.
Yep, very simple. It's honestly that simple.
You could be at home in your own house with your pictures hanging up,
and
they'll come in and arrest you because you broke in, because you forgot your key.
Or they can mistake it as their place. Won't even turn on the lights. Be afraid, walk in, and immediately start shooting.
And somehow, because you smoked weed, that's your fault.
Yep. All of this is your fault.
Not this trained peace officer that you pay with your taxes. Not her. She's not responsible. You are.
Because you're the big black scary person. According to the media, you're the big black scary person. Wow.
This world.
I'm just, man.
I was gonna say something else too about you saying that you're happy that you were brought into this world as black. I think that like if you're a spiritual person or you believe in like I don't know, whatever so that's out there, because I don't know yet. I'm on the same planet everybody that's listening to this is on, so I don't know what the hell is happening. But I think whatever it is that made us how we are, whatever creator is out there, whatever it is, had to know that black people or melanated people, like on the inside, were some of the most powerful, um, just like tough, strong-minded people to put us in this kind of environment, knowing what we're gonna endure, and be like, you know what though, they're gonna be okay. They got this.
Through all the bullshit. And I don't give a fuck what
Exactly.
anybody says. A lot of people like to down the black community and make it seem like we're not shit.
Yeah.
I don't know any other ethnicity that could
I
go
could
through what we
exactly,
go through
and
and
they would
survive.
be okay. Yeah, would have. Yeah, they wouldn't make it.
You're not making it. It's not happening. Like
And that,
you can't do it.
for several
So,
reasons though too. Like just to go back to like even slavery alone, like, and the joke that I always love to make, like, go outside and just stand outside for a second. Any other person that doesn't have real good melanin in their skin, the sun is gonna tell you that you can't do this.
it's gonna be like go back inside.
It's gonna be like, nah,
Go put
nah,
some sunscreen on.
this ain't for you. This ain't- Get back on the porch. Don't get off the porch.
Bro, this is crazy. So I'm sorry. I didn't mean to really kind of get off topic, but
It's all good.
um
It's all
I'm,
podcasts. We could talk about whatever we want.
that's that hey, very true. But I don't want to be mad anymore. Like I'm trying not to be upset. I do think I have the right to be upset, but I'm also trying not to be so upset at these things anymore because it's literally an everyday occurrence, and I don't give a fuck what anybody says. You can't tell me this wouldn't happen if they were of another race.
Yeah.
The only other race that I
It
could
couldn't have
see
been
it
a white
happening to,
62-year-old man that she followed. It would not
bruh,
have happened that way.
bruh, she'd have
They-
probably been like, "Sorry, sir." She'd
But
probably apologize to
you
him.
know what? Or not even that though. She probably would have called the cops to it and everything, but she wouldn't have pulled that gun out and shot him.
No,
And the reason why though is because when she saw who it was, it would have reminded her of her grandfather or
mm-hmm.
somebody that age that she knows that she's connected to
Yep,
personally. But when they see us, like we're going to talk about later, they
mm-hmm.
don't see themselves. When they
They
see
see
us, they don't
something
see
different.
that. They don't see, yeah, they don't even see an equal human. They don't see that, and so
I'm
we. This is what happens to us because I
I'm
was
going to
involved in
Africa,
a
bro.
car accident and I lose my life.
I'm going to Africa, and you know what I'm gonna do? I'm telling you what I'm gonna do. I'm so serious. I'm going to Africa, and I am making it illegal for you to be racist to people of melanated color.
Hey,
I'm so serious. Like this, it's just gonna be an African law. It's not gonna even be like a Kenyan law, a South African law, a Nigerian law, a
whole
Moroccan
continent,
law. Like none of that shit. It's gonna be an entire African law, meaning
bro.
that if you do something to us in this country to make us feel in this continent to
Yeah.
make us feel uneasy, you can go and never come back, like ever. Like I remember, I don't know if you saw this, but there was a story about a young African American, not African American, a um young South African girl. I think she was like 13 years old, and she went like toe to toe with the administrators of her school because they told her that she couldn't wear her natural hair, bro. Bro, how are you going to ban natural hair in Africa? How are you going to tell Africans that they can't wear the hair that grows out of their scalp in Africa?
Because like they make rules and they word them in such a way to make it wrong to be black. That's
My
why
mind is blown.
they, it's just they make it wrong and illegal in some places to be black. You can't do that. We can't hire you. That's unprofessional.
That's basically what it is. I'm so serious though. That's what I'm gonna do. I
That's a,
swear to God, that
that's
N
a,
word is out. Anything else is out. Like you fuck up. Hey, just do not come back to the entire continent. I
yeah,
didn't
talk
mean
to
this
him.
country. I meant the
Just Zuma.
entire continent. Take
Yeah,
your
talk
ass
to
back to Europe. You can
Jacob.
have it.
I
Like you
believe
can
his name
have
is
it.
Jacob Zuma. He'll be right on board with that.
Exactly.
He's trying to get all they call him the Boer or something over there like that. They want the white farmers and all that kind of stuff to give the land back to the rightful owners. This
Which
is
makes sense.
that's African land. It's South African land, and if you are a Belgian colonizer that came in with that influx of people, this is not yours, and
No.
you may feel that entitled to it because you've been there for however many generations you've been there, but they've been there for more generations. They just were interrupted in their greatness, and you did something to interrupt them because they were too nice to you, and now they need that shit back so we could get back to doing what we was doing before and being great. So I'm
Because it's
sorry
like
you
an
feel bad, but
ultimate
Belgium's
thing.
still over there waiting for you. You know, they got you.
Exactly. It's
They
right
got you.
there. Isn't it better? As y'all think they think it's better. So go there. It's fine. Like it's literally fine. No one cares. Just give
Nah,
us our
you know what it is though. They don't want to go
okay.
back to the cold. They know that shit's whack. They know that shit's whack. That's why they came over there in the first place. They're like, man, we gotta get the hell out of here.
And let me tell you why South Africa is one of the best spots to be at, right? Because all right, so when I used to work like with the park rangers and stuff, I found out about climates and things of that nature. Only 5 climates in the world have a Mediterranean. There are only 5 places in the world that have a Mediterranean climate. A Mediterranean climate is LA. It's basically pretty much sunshine the entire time, and the seasons don't overlap. So if it's raining in December, meaning that's like our winter time or fall, it's only gonna rain then. It's not gonna rain in like June or some shit like that, just because that's not how that works. South
Yeah.
Africa is one of those places with a Mediterranean climate.
See,
Like literally. Like it's Southern California, it's South Africa, and it's the Mediterranean itself. So like Italy and shit like that. Right? But South Africa is one of those places with a Mediterranean climate. So if they to colonize any country in Africa, South Africa was the one to colonize because it's perfect weather wise,
yep.
and it's right by the beach.
They know what they're doing, and those beaches are beautiful. But
Beautiful.
there's a reason they show what they show about Africa, so it looks off-putting. Like if you see kids with bloated bellies and flies on their face and all kinds of stuff like that, you don't. Why would you want to go visit that place? Why would you want to go there and think that there's business or thriving anything there? Look at this. But when you step back and then you're like, hey, my cell phone wouldn't work unless the minerals from this place were in it. This, why are these businesses going there? Why is China and Korea and all these places, these Asian
Bruh,
countries buying up and moving their people there and all kinds of stuff?
bruh,
Like they're
bruh.
just we're in this little media bubble that we need to escape out of, and then we'll see that it's way bigger than that. You need to see the big picture.
I'm getting my passport, and I'm getting my passport, and if I don't come back, you know exactly where I am. I'm somewhere in Africa, but I'm definitely getting my passport because a woman. I was just talking to a woman on like the train earlier this week, and she was like, "You need to get your passport. You need to get out of America. You need to understand that America isn't the entire world. America's view on other places in general, especially places that are not
Other nations?
European,
Yeah,
is very like it's bad. Like we're supposed to think of those places as terrible, right? And she was like, I've gone to South Africa, I've gone to Nigeria. Those places aren't as bad as they make it seem like, right? And I thought about it because I was making the connection to the two. It's kind of like how they see the hood.
yeah,
The hood honestly ain't that bad. You got some fuck shit going on, but it's
yeah.
not that bad. In fact, I feel safer here than I do in other parts of the city just because I know here, right?
Yeah.
I know what to look out for. And I understand that as somebody with dark skin around other dark skinned people, ain't nobody gonna try to kill me or ask me what the fuck I'm doing here because I'm black. I
Yeah.
feel safe here. I know what the fuck is going on. I'm
Exactly.
not gonna go somewhere to like Beverly Hills or the Palisades or some shit like that. Honestly, I feel a little bit uneasy because I feel like everybody is watching me trying to figure out why the fuck I'm here, and I'll
Yeah.
get stopped, which I actually have a couple of times, and ask like what the fuck I'm doing here. Like it's different. It's
Do you
different. Yeah.
watch on YouTube this channel? It's called Jubilee.
Jubilee.
Yeah, and they have
Nah, I
these
haven't
things
heard of
where
it.
they do like, do all black people think the same? Do all women think the same? Do this thing, and they'll have like these lines where it's like agree, disagree, partly, strongly agree, and so they stand on this spectrum of lines. And you should check it out. It's pretty cool. I like watching it. But recently they had this. Well, I don't know if it was recently. Recently I watched it though. They had these Asian Americans on there, and they're asking them questions. And I think the questions was something along the line of like, do you feel more comfortable in your country of heritage or something like that, or would you move there permanently or something like that? And one of the people said that he likes it when he goes back to his home country or his heritage country because he knows that when he's walking down the street, he's just a person.
Yeah,
Nobody's looking at him because he's Korean or he's this or judging him because he's the Korean or whatever it may be. He's just another person in the crowd, and it's like this person asshole is an asshole because his personality is an asshole. Like, or this is a good person because he's just a good person. Like, you're just normal there. Like you don't have to worry about all those kind of things. And I was thinking about that, like, imagine the relief that American black people or African Americans had, whatever you call them, because I don't call them that. But if you were if imagine the relief off of your shoulders though, if you just walked down the street and everybody you saw looked just like you,
yeah,
like that would be so,
that'd be so dope.
yeah, and uplifting. Like that would be
Yeah,
amazing.
it'd be so dope.
You could walk into a store and just walk through there and don't have to worry about security guards following you. You
Ain't
could
nobody
chill
gonna ask you what
at
the
a
fuck you
Starbucks.
doing.
You could use
Yeah,
the bathroom.
yeah, and then be like, yeah, it's good.
The
It's
simple
good.
things. It's the simple stuff that we'd be like, oh, this is cool.
That'd be so dope. I'm getting my
Go to
passport.
go to the
All that you
hospital and
said,
get
I'm getting
proper
my passport.
treatment.
But you were talking about that. That also um that made me think of something else. It's called there's this dude on Facebook. His name is Nas Daily. I don't know if you've ever seen any of his videos, but he
I
made a
haven't
video
seen
recently and he was like, This is the Africa you never hear of." And it's basically these
it. Yeah.
beautiful places in Africa with these thriving economies. And he's like, "I'm so tired of this the idea of Africa being
The narrative of it.
the narrative of Africa being this small child with a bloated stomach, dirt road, and
And
like,
the whole country.
yeah, and the whole damn continent except for like the northern Africa is seen like that. Like there's so much more to Africa than just that. Yes, there's
Wait,
poverty
wait.
here.
Not to cut you off real quick, but they North Africa is not even they don't even look at it the same as
They
where
don't.
the
They don't.
sub-Saharan Africa,
They
where the
keep
darker
trying to
people.
tell us that Egypt is not Africa. Like
Yeah,
they
they'll
keep
talk
trying to
about
tell,
Africa and then they'll be like Egypt, but
and it's
Africa
Egypt.
and Egypt.
Right. And it's like, no, Egypt is Africa, bro. Like
Yeah,
it's Africa. Like I don't know what the fuck you think this is, but it's actually Africa. It's weird. I don't know.
it's because like what
Anyway,
you're saying though
go ahead.
is they if they say that they would have to acknowledge that the same place where we went to go get these what we consider nothing of humans, greatness was once here. So it's a contradiction to do that. What you got? You created this slave class of people from greatness. It's people who intelligent people would have a problem with that. So you have to separate them so they don't seem like they were together ever.
All I'm saying is I'm going to Africa.
Yeah, that's like turning Prince records into mumble rap.
Basically,
Like
basically,
you, nigga, you did what? You took Prince's lyrics and did what?
like Prince though. Like it was like Prince, like that Prince.
Like, come on.
Nah, yeah, I think
What's
I'm
that
going
guy's
to
name?
Africa, and I think every melanated person, especially those who've lived in America or even like South America, especially like Brazil, because I think the only other people who really can understand what the fuck we're going through here in America is
Yeah,
Black Brazilians. Like it's
that's
neck and neck with us,
that's the biggest population of African Americans.
bruh.
Well, if you want to get technical,
If you want to get technical about it, we
like
there.
that's the biggest population of them.
Like we in there. It's and you would never know that. Like you honestly wouldn't know that, which is weird because I don't want to get into that. Anyway, the point is that I think all melanated people, especially those who have been oppressed, should go to Africa just to see and just to look around and just like breathe and to understand and to know that like our purpose is much higher than this. Like our greatness, right, is trying to be stifled.
Capabilities.
And our capabilities are just are trying to be stifled and taken from us.
Yeah.
And our power lies within ourselves. So it's just we got to do it. We got to do it. But speaking of when they see us, um, Ava DuVernay came out with a really powerful 4-part series, mini series in which she
Wait, hold
chronicled.
on. Wait,
Go
wait,
ahead.
wait, wait, wait. Because I keep hearing her name, right? So
Hmm.
I wanted to ask this before we get into that.
No
Is
problem.
I hear her name often, and I heard it, but I've never seen her. I'm assuming now she's a black woman, right? If I'm not mistaken.
Definitely.
What other projects has she been a part of? Because I've heard that name in some other places before.
So Selma.
Okay, okay, okay.
Yeah, she did Selma. She's also done what's that movie called? It's a movie based upon a book, but I can't really get the name of it right now, so I'm not gonna worry about it too much. She's
Do
done
you
a
know
few
what it's
projects,
about?
but the
You know.
yeah, it's about like this girl who lost her dad in this really weird kind of other dimension, and she has to go and save her dad. It's one of those things where if I think of it, you'll know what I'm talking about, but it's the book itself is not like really easy to describe, or the
Okay.
movie itself isn't easy to describe if you haven't seen it. Fuck yeah, I'll figure it out. But so she created a really Ava DuVernay is a film director. Her films though I think focus so much more on like black people and the black experience because well one she did Summer and then this next project when they see us is chronicles the Central Park Five. If you don't know anything about the Central Park Five, they were basically five kids, and I really do mean kids because the oldest one was 16 years old. So five kids, and I'm gonna look up their names, but I do know a couple of them off the top of my head. Santana. Um, the other one was Corey Wise. There's a couple of other names. I'm trying to look up. Hold on one second,
This
y'all.
country, if you're black, that makes you an adult. You're getting tried as an adult.
Pretty much, like it's fucked up. It's absolutely fucked up. Hold on.
Yeah.
I'm trying to figure out. They're giving me everything but people's names.
Of the
Central
Central
Park
Park
Five.
Five.
Yeah, like I'm trying to find the names of the people, but like they're giving me everything but the names of the people.
Let's see. 1 second. Wow, my laptop's going so slow. I got so many tabs open.
Nah, don't even worry about it. I'm gonna find it now. Central Park Five.
I know I seen some video today on I think it was on Facebook, and they had the actual confession of one of them. He's like the most popular one that I've been seeing. But the interrogation was actually in a classroom. Like he's sitting in a classroom,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
I'm like,
It's
what
the way
the
they fucked
fuck?
with these kids
How
was
was
all
this
fucked up.
allowed? Would you say one more
It
time? Repeat that.
said the way they fucked with these kids was all fucked up. Like they didn't give them a chance at all.
Like
They did not give them a chance. But I did get the name. So it's Raymond Santana, it's
mhm.
Kevin Richardson, Antron McCray, Yusef Salam, and or
That's the
Kerry
one.
Wise.
That's the one. The last one you
Yeah,
said.
we gonna talk about him. Because there was something I said to you earlier when we were on like the phone talking about our topics.
Uh,
But so the Central Park, all of these gentlemen, Raymond Santana was the oldest. I think Corey and Anthony or Kevin, one of the two. There were two boys that were 14, but they were ages literally 14 through 16. What happened was there was 28-year-old white woman. She was a banker. She's running through Central Park, and unfortunately, she was brutally raped and beaten to the point of damn near death. Um, and any attempts to find her killers, the police and a woman by the name of Linda Fairstein decided to go after all of the young black men who was in the park at that time. And then they centered their investigation of of all the they centered their investigation
mhm.
on those five black and Latino men, right? They didn't coerce their confessions, even though there was no evidence linking them to the crime, and sentenced them to, I think, like 30, each of them to like 30 something years in prison. Now, the crazy thing about that is I just said it, there was no evidence linking them to the crime. So basically, when like semen samples and things like that were taken, none of their DNA matched it. Uh, not, there was nothing about these young men that actually matched anything the perpetrator would be. And the way they got out is because one of the young men actually met the actual rapist in prison, and he confessed to doing a crime. And when his DNA sample was taken, they were like, it matched perfectly. And that's the way they were exonerated.
And how long did
But
this that whole process take?
so that happened April 19th, 1989, right? The situation itself happened April 19th, 1989. I think the trial took about 6 months, not even that long. I might be wrong about that. Like 6 months. All of that happened fairly
Yeah.
quickly. And then they were sentenced and they spent a good 10 years in jail, if I'm not mistaken.
Wow.
Because they got out in 2002. Or 2002 was when they filed a lawsuit and were awarded $41 million. But I'm kind of jumping ahead a little bit. Either way, I think they all spent a good 7 to 10 years in jail.
You said seven? Seven?
Like seven, maybe 10 years in jail.
Wow.
One of those.
So
Yeah,
because of the justice system not properly doing their
pretty much.
job, these kids lost 7 years, 7 or 10 years of their life over a we think so. What kind of shit is that? Because if that was, I mean, what's his name? Brock Turner
This nigga. Please, yep, go ahead. Go ahead.
was caught in the act of raping a girl who was a baby.
By two other white men, by the way.
Yes,
But go
who was
ahead.
asleep, and he got 3 months probation,
Hmm.
and
He was supposed to get like maybe a year or something in jail. He got
3 months probation.
three. I think he spent 3 months in jail and got like 3 years probation or something like that. And he basically just got to go away.
Meanwhile, these five kids, black kids, it's a we think so, and they get 7 years.
Yeah. Well, they did 7 years. They were supposed to do 30. They did 7 years. Yeah.
Wow, and they're gonna do 34. We think so, when they ended up doing 7.
So,
That just lets you know what kind of a environment we live in.
mhm.
Like, and like it was, I was watching DL. He said this, and he was like, "What happened to those kids is every like melanated person." He didn't say melanated though, but any melanated person's um any melanated parent's nightmare is your child is in the wrong place at the wrong time, and now they get picked up by the authorities, and they're about to get charged with a crime that they have nothing to do with, and because they fit the description. I can't imagine. Like, and then what? Say what you were telling me earlier about what happened to one of the
Okay.
men, because like
That's fucked
that's
up.
somebody, and then that's somebody's child, and you can't protect them now.
Yep.
You can't do anything
So
for them, really.
exactly. So we all know, or at least there's speculation that when a rapist goes into prison, they're targets. They have a target on their back, right?
Yep.
So since these 5 young men, first off, their case was highly
High
publicized, like
profile.
high profile case. Like this
Yep,
was
exactly.
everything.
And then if you and Joe, you got a lot of time on your hands. You watching TV. You're probably watching.
Exactly. You're watching, so you know. And these boys, they were branded to be like monsters. Like no one was telling their side of the story. No one could care
Because
less that they had no physical evidence. It was made to seem as these dudes conspired to basically watch her,
it
attack
happened in
her.
what year again? One more time. It happened.
1989.
And so at that time, most people they get all their information from like 10 o'clock news.
Goodness.
You know that whatever they tell you, that's law. Like there wasn't the same
Yeah.
social media we have where there's alternative um viewpoints and all kinds of stuff like that, or point of view. Like so they were fucked by the media.
Yeah. They were absolutely fucked by the media, and they were coerced into confession. So when those young men went into prison, unfortunately, one of them in particular, I believe it's Corey
Yeah.
Wise, uh, he got raped. He got raped because everybody thought he was a rapist. And what happened to the woman was so awful. Like the woman was beaten half to death. Like she wasn't just raped. She damn near did not survive. The doctors did not think she would survive. So when Corey went into prison, they got his ass.
Yeah.
Like they literally got his ass. Now imagine you going into prison as a kid for something you didn't even do.
Innocent.
You go innocent. You're actually innocent.
Mhm.
You are innocent. You go into prison. You are already probably frightened and scared out of your
Yeah.
mind. And then they rape you because they think that you did it. Like everybody else is made to believe that you did it. The president of the United States, he wasn't the president at the time, he was just Donald Trump. But Donald Trump literally took out an ad calling for the deaths of these young men, calling for New York to bring the death penalty back just to kill off these young men. That's crazy. And then you go into prison and you get raped. And what I had told Adam before, I'm like, okay, yes, the case, they were able to overturn the case and they found out the person who really did it. And they are able now, like they were able to not only get out of jail, but be compensated for it. But bro can't get his ass back. Like bro can't, he can't not, you cannot undo a rape.
Yeah.
There's no way. There's no physical way for you to undo a rape. There's no psychological way for that to like
Exactly.
not be done.
Right.
It's
Psychologically and literally, he got fucked.
literally like
That
it's
is
fucking crazy to me. It's absolutely crazy to me. And it's the thing is that no one no one thought about that. Like no one
Yeah,
cared
that's what I was
to
about
think
to say. They
about
didn't
that
care.
because they decided that they were going to blame somebody for these rapes.
Yeah.
Since they heard, I think it was like 22 black men, 22 black and Latino youth were in the park, just so happened to be in the park that night, somebody was going to get blamed for the rape. And it unfortunately happened to be those 5 young men, who were 5 young men at the time. It's
And
absolutely crazy. And
lost their
you were
mind.
right, Adam. This is everybody's, this is anybody's, any melanated person's worst nightmare. Like absolute worst nightmare. You're at the wrong place at the wrong time, and now you're caught up in some shit that you didn't even do.
You fit the description. That is so
You fit the
common.
description.
He fits the description.
And so now let's talk about Linda Fairstein for a little bit, because she was really the driving force
She was a
of
prosecutor,
getting these
right? She was a
women.
prosecutor.
Yeah, yeah, she was a prosecutor, but she was really kind of the driving force in not only demonizing and dehumanizing these young men, but also making sure they were prosecuted to the fullest extent. And not only that, she still thinks they're guilty.
Yeah. After DNA evidence.
Ladies, ladies and gentlemen, not only do they have DNA
So
evidence,
real
but they
quick.
have a confession from the dude who really did it. The dude who really did it, his name is
And a confession, right?
uh yeah, he had a confession, but his name is Matthias Mateus Reyes, right? And so here's the weird part about his story. Bro is a serial rapist. Like he's an actual serial rapist. Like after he raped and beat that woman half to death, he went on to rape three more women. The only reason why he was caught in the last rape is because I think a doorman or something like that caught him, held him down, and waited for the police to come and get him.
So
So go
hold
ahead.
on.
Mhm.
Let me go back to this lady first. Because
Go
I
ahead.
want to say, look, these are the people who are in charge of our freedom and sometimes lives. Or is people like this who would, when presented with DNA evidence, still don't believe you.
Yep.
And then once they're in jail,
And a confession. Not
exactly, and a
only DNA
confession, yeah,
evidence, but a
and a
confession.
confession. And then not only that though, but the people that put them in jail, everyone that had something to do with it, now they're in jail, and the same thing is happening, but the one you caught is in jail though. You don't think about that and be like, hey, I think we got the wrong motherfuckers, because it's still going on. They didn't stop to think about that at all. Like, what? Who? These
No.
people are in charge of our freedom, though. That can't stop and think about these kind of things. Something I just did
Adam, I'm
right
gonna tell
now,
you what they
you
thought.
know, within this short amount of time. What?
I'm gonna tell you what they thought. They thought somebody had to pay for this white woman being raped and beaten, which I agree with. But we heard
Oh, wait,
22
hold
black
on.
and Latino men.
Someone, not someone, the person who did it has to pay, because
The person, there you
not
go.
someone,
The
because
person,
then it can be anyone,
yeah,
and that's not right.
there you go. You are absolutely right about that. The person who raped and beaten that woman needed to be held responsible. But since we heard there were 22 young black men, young black and Latino men in the park that night, we're going to say one of them did it, or all of them did it, or as many people as we can possibly get did it. And we're going to run with that. So fuck that man's confession. Fuck the fact that the DNA evidence literally proves that it was him. We also believe they had something to do with it too, even though their evidence does not point to them at all whatsoever. Crazy, right?
That's beyond crazy. That is incredible. That like these people are like you have to really view us as something to do something. Like you have to view us as something like just this outlandish,
You gotta see us as
yeah,
monsters,
you know,
bro.
like this
Like,
outlandish, just a creature of a human that just does these kind of things to to charge some kids with something like that to just think we're capable of things. Like not that some people aren't, but it's just to generalize them like that and just be like, all right, they look like this, they did that shit. It was them.
And you had a good point when we were on the phone earlier about, like you said, like five random kids. Like, how would five random kids decide to do something like
Yeah,
that? I want you
and
to
then because all right,
say this.
yeah, yeah, they don't know each other, and then five kids just randomly meet for the first time, and like, hey, let's rape somebody. What? Like three at least three, if not more, are gonna be like, dude, what the hell are you talking about? You got me fucked up. Not only that, but they're probably gonna beat that other kid's ass who suggested it because they got sisters and a mom. They're like, what the hell is wrong with you? And then they're probably gonna tell somebody about it too. You know, like that's not logical. Like I don't understand.
All of that made more sense than anything that they presented in that case. Like all of what you said, that logic of thinking made way more sense than what they presented in that case
Yeah.
to convict those
I
young
want
men.
to know who the jury was too, because they what?
Okay, so see, here's the thing about that. I think no, I know that when you're a part of a jury, you're not supposed to know anything about the case, but I just don't see how, or you're not supposed to know anything about the case, or they're trying to separate them from society so that they're not influenced by other things that they may or may
So
not
they're
hear. You feel
not
me?
biased. They make their
However,
choice.
yeah, they're not supposed to be biased. However, here's the thing: with that case being so high profile as it was, there's no way you could really find some people that were not going to be
Yeah.
biased. Everybody's talking about that. Everybody's talking about the not that case. Everybody's talking about those
Yep.
kids. That's what they were talking about. Not even the woman who got raped. They were talking about those kids. I just don't believe that you could find 12 people in New York City at that time to not be biased about that.
Yep.
They probably thought, like many people did at that time, that they were absolutely guilty and there's no ifs, ands, and buts about it. And what so Linda Fairstein is a prosecutor,
Yeah.
right? If you don't know anything about how prosecution works or how our jury system works, they select a jury. The prosecution and defense are supposed to select a jury together, right? Now, when that happens, hmm, I'm not saying you're supposed to agree on no, you are supposed to agree who is selected as the jury, but at the same time, especially in this case, the prosecution and the DA was kind of in on it. So it was like, all right, we're going to select the people that we believe will be more in our favor, which is what everybody's trying to do. Everybody is trying to they're saying they're trying to find someone who's not biased. That's not true. They're looking for people who would sway more in their
Yep.
direction. And that's what fucked these boys up. So fuck DNA evidence. Fuck the fact that five random boys who don't know each other, like they literally don't know each other. Like they're meeting each other for the first time in a holding cell or in court, and they're supposed to have done this terrible rape, this terrible beaten and raped this woman. Like that was supposed to have happened. 14 to 16. The oldest person was 16 years old. Like legit 16. Like bruh. So it's everything was designed to get some boys. The prosecution, the cops, the DA, the jury, everything was going to go wrong in that situation. And it's unfortunate it happened that way.
Yeah.
It really is.
Yeah. And that doesn't make sense to me. How the person who's prosecuting you it picks the jury. Like what?
Yeah, but they both do. The defense and the prosecution both are supposed to because it's the idea is if they are both
Yeah,
picking
but
jury,
that's
then you're supposed to get somebody. Well, you're
that's
supposed to get
fair.
people who are like more down the middle.
But see, that's BS because most times, and I don't know about this case, in this case, you get like a public defender. When you get a public defender, the person that's on the other side, they probably know each other. After they're done with this, you're just their job to them. They're gonna go probably to lunch and go hang out. They probably can't do that while they're doing that in the midst of an actual case. They probably can't be seen with each other and all that stuff, but they probably hung out before, colleagues, maybe went to the same school. That's not a fair like way to do a trial. Like that's not fair at all. Like somebody else,
But
some random outside of everything that's going on should be picking the jury. That's crazy.
from what I've heard, that's exactly how it is. I forgot exactly what the woman. I don't remember the woman's name. It was an interview on the Breakfast Club, but she was a lawyer who also used to be like who also used to have like her own show for on Fox News. She was a black
On
woman.
the court show, I know
Um,
you're talking about.
yeah, that one.
Yeah.
She was talking about how that's exactly how it is. It's especially if there is a lot of evidence pointing towards the defendant being guilty. The prosecution and the judge are usually working together. Not like, well, in the way that she was describing it, not in a bad sense, not in the sense of, okay, we're going to get this person in prison and as we're trying to get this person as much time as possible, but like, okay, so we know what the situation is. We know what the reality of the situation is. This person, if this person did the crime, then they did the crime. If they did not, I'm going to defend them with the utmost, with all the evidence that I have. But they do work together. Like they're all working together to try to conclude the case or whatever the situation may be. So, I mean, at least that's the way that it was described. So I don't. I'm saying that to say that I, if we were in a more, if the system was fair, if it was actually fair and it wasn't so heavily leaning towards the incarceration of Black and brown people, that honestly would be okay. But because it is the way it is, it's not. Black and brown people get punished way harder than white males in the society, and it's unfortunate,
Yeah.
but it's just the reality of the situation. And I think just it was the perfect storm for these men. I won't call them the Central Park Five, because when people think of the Central Park Five, they think of these monsters that did this horrible thing to this woman, and that's not what happened at all. There were these kids, legit kids at the time, ages 14 through 16, who were coerced into a confession, thinking that if they confessed, then they would get leniency on time, on like time spent in prison, because they're kids and they don't know anything about the justice system.
Yeah.
Like that's what happened to them. That's what happened. And unfortunately, so just to go back to Linda Fairstein, one, again, she doesn't think those kids are innocent. Well, not they're not kids anymore, they're men. But she doesn't think that they're innocent, which is weird because you have DNA evidence proving that they're innocent, and also a confession by a man who's a serial rapist. If that's not 1 + 1 = 2, I don't know what the fuck is. How, and on top of that, she came out recently and tried to say that anything, the way that she was portrayed and When They See Us was absolute lies. That's the part that got me, because it's like, it's not true based upon all of the interviews I've seen from the men themselves,
Hmm.
and the stories I've read about her being a big part in the prosecution. Obviously she's a prosecutor, but she was really the driving force behind those 5 dudes being in a situation that they were in. Like everything points to like her being the driving force. But she was upset, but now she's upset and she's taking down her Twitter page, her Instagram page. Like a woman, she's had a good life. She was able to sell books.
Yep.
She was on, what was it, the a committee for like domestic violence and shit like that. And they even got her ass up out of there like years ago when they realized that the kids were innocent, because it was like, because people understood and they knew, they're like, there's something wrong here. There's something wrong with this narrative. And I think the most fucked up part about the situation is the woman who was raped and beaten herself. She was raped and beaten so bad that she doesn't remember. She doesn't have any recollection of the situation. So because of that, like, based upon everything that she was hearing at the time, she still believes that those dudes are innocent. I mean, those dudes are guilty. She thinks that they did that to her because of media. Like, media made her believe. Mind you, she does not remember the situation at all. Like, she has no recollection of it. So, but the media did their job so well that she believes, even though there's DNA evidence exonerating them, she believes they're guilty. She believes that they did it and that there was more than one person involved.
Yeah.
When evidence proves that it wasn't like that.
Yeah, and that's what I was going to say is like chances are she's part of that group of people who at that time just listen to whatever the news says, and when she's sitting in that hospital bed day by day watching TV, she
Mm-hmm.
just sees that over and over drilled into her head. These are the people that did this to me. Look at these monsters. We got to make sure they're put away for life. And now it's hard for her to come to understanding that they were innocent, and she can't believe that because it's like it's like doing something really horrible to somebody and then finding out that you were wrong, and then it's like, but no, but like, and you already did it to them. And so if she admits that both of those people, they admit that, all right, we were wrong, you just did this horrible thing to this kid or these kids, and you have to come to terms with that, that damn, we just prosecuted these innocent kids because I was so upset because what happened to me that I just had to get somebody.
Honestly, I'm gonna be real with you when I say this. I don't give a fuck how they feel about it. I damn sure don't give a fuck about how Linda Fairstein feels about
Yeah,
it. Because the reality of the situation is that these men spent time in prison for a crime they didn't do. One of them got
yeah,
raped, like legit got raped, and they can never get that back.
yeah. That's what
$41 million
I'm
isn't going to
saying.
do it,
That's why
especially 41
they got
million.
to stick by
Go
what they
ahead.
said. That's why they got to stick by what they said initially. Because if they say that, okay, I was wrong, now they're technically, and especially this prosecutor is technically responsible for all the things that happened to these men. And then people will go as even as far as to be like, all them books she was selling, you to break them off a couple dollars because they're not even really
Which she
expensive,
should.
you know?
Which she should, and I'm all for that. But I'm also all for people taking responsibility and accountability for their actions. Had they took their time and properly done their investigation, they probably would have found Mateus Reyes and could have saved three other women from being
Yeah,
raped, because he raped those three women after her.
yeah,
After her. So had they done their investigation properly, this wouldn't even be an issue. Maybe those three women, no, not maybe, those three women aren't raped. That's a great part. And also these five teens that you decided to put in
one of
prison
them is
and
gonna get
dehumanize.
raped. Wouldn't have
Yeah,
got raped.
one of them doesn't get raped, and the other four, or all five
That
of them, do not spend time in prison for something that they did not do.
damn by being over, I think the word is overzealous. By being
Overzealous.
overzealous and doing this, they caused four more rapes by trying to
Basically.
get the people for one and just get somebody. And you know how prosecutors and lawyers are, like she was probably trying to build up her career at that time too. So like, all right, this is a high
Yep.
profile case. If I get a conviction for this, I'm gonna be partner or whatever the hell they're always saying. Like
Which is exactly what it is. It's a conviction.
she was like,
She was
in a
trying
big
to
one.
get a
I
conviction.
could put this on my resume, forever. That's
Like this is her most famous case. This is how everybody knows her. And I understand. No, I don't understand. I don't understand because it would eat me alive if I was a prosecutor on that case and I sent away 5 people who didn't do anything. They literally didn't do anything, and the person who did it did. Yo, Adam, the only reason why bro who actually committed the crime was in jail was because he got caught in another rape. Not because he had anything to do with this
yeah,
one, but because he got caught in another rape. Meaning that had he not ever been caught,
kept going.
Lord knows those men would probably still be there
Yep.
today. That's crazy.
And
Like that's absolutely insane.
it's like when
Had
would
they
she know
just done their
behaviors?
job just like a little better, just a little bit, none of this would honestly be an issue. She wouldn't be attacked the way she is. The person who was in prison right now, only because he was caught in the other rape, would be in prison. 3 women, 4 people would not have been raped, and she could have gone on about her married life, but that's not what happened.
Yeah. This I don't know. I think the same way they go after the police officers who wrongfully kill somebody, they need to get her. She needs to serve.
I think no, they are though. That's exactly what's
Yeah,
happening. That's why she's had to take down like her social media handles and all of those things because many people are going after her and are saying, "Listen, you had a direct part to play in sending those young men to jail."
yep.
And I absolutely agree, but I don't think it just stops with her. I think it's the cops and the detectives who are on the case. I think it's the DA, and I would even go as far as to, this is gonna sound fucked up, but I would even want to know the names of the
That's
jurors
what I'm
because if
saying.
you don't have any physical evidence, any physical evidence linking these boys to the crime, how could you possibly say they were guilty? Fuck the confession. Like fuck the confession. Like it doesn't make any sense. None of it adds up. But because of media bias, you were led to believe, like everybody else at that time, that they did it. Man, this is a cold world we live in. We have a fucked up justice system, and it's always been fucked up towards black and brown people.
Yep.
But
That's what they say.
this is,
It's just us that get it like that.
yeah, it literally is.
It's
It's just us. It reminds me, um, I read an article about this too, but there was like, it happened back like in the 1950s and 60s when Jim Crow was still like law, but it was down south.
yeah.
This young boy was arrested, tried, and convicted for a rape of a white woman all in one day. He was 14 years old,
Wait.
and
What?
yeah, yeah, 14 years old, 14 years old. And that's not even the most fucked up part. So they sentenced him to death, and he was so small that when they put him in an electrocution chair for death, they had to sit him on the Bible, right? They had to sit this boy on the
You need a
Bible.
booster.
He needed a booster to be able to properly die.
No, not die. Get killed. The
Get killed.
government.
To be properly murdered. They had to sit this man on the Bible to be properly murdered. Physically, if you look at the little boy, you can tell there's no way he fucking did it. Like there's absolutely no way. But because he was a black little boy in the 1950s or 60s, whenever the fuck it happened, there you go. Wrong place, wrong time.
And who like was responsible? Like who was the witness or the one that said he did it?
There was no witness. They just saw him walking along the road, and they were like, "Oh, well, he did it."
Reminds me of like Emmett Till too.
Yeah,
Same kind of thing.
yeah.
And see, and wait, did I don't know if the lady died. The one that see,
The one who like said that
yeah,
that he whistled at
yeah.
her.
But did she never? No, nothing ever happened to her because of that.
No, I hope she's still alive. I hope she has a very long and miserable life. I'm being petty right now, but I don't give a fuck. I hope she had a long, miserable life. I hope her husband left her. I hope all her teeth fell out by the time she was like 24 or some shit like that. I hope she got arthritis. I hope she can't see. I hope all of her taste buds went away. Like
they,
I
they
just
can't. They
hope
don't
the
use
worst for
seasonings anyway. That wouldn't matter. Your
her. That's true.
scoliosis.
Oh God,
And that's crazy.
but nah, it's absolutely insane.
Yeah, that's what I was
That's
saying.
why
Like,
the
I know
title
we haven't seen
fits
that
so
show.
perfectly.
I mean, not the show, the series yet, but this story or this kind of thing is so universal. Like it not well, not universal, but it's so common. I mean, like it happens so much, and it's been happening for so long that it's just like even though we haven't seen this series and this is still like it happened so many times before, and it's the same story every time.
And it continues to happen. Like if it wasn't for DNA evidence and the forensic science that we have now today, there would still be like a lot more people locked up. Like
Yeah, I couldn't even imagine how many people because I seen a documentary about it and how many people in general have been released from prison after they developed that DNA evidence thing, and they were like, "Hey, we were wrong," like.
so many, so many, so fucking
And
many,
then that with
so
the
many.
disproportionate rates of how often melanated people are arrested, I can't imagine how many melanated people were arrested wrongly and were released or are still pending release now that they have this DNA evidence.
Bro, there's a whole podcast dedicated to it, and I used to listen to it, but again, it was just one of those things where I had to stop because it was literally it was heavy on my heart. Like I just couldn't do it anymore. Like how could so many people when we have this great justice system, right? According to our government, we have this great justice system. It's fair, it's just everything. If you are innocent, you have nothing to worry about. But to me, if you are arrested, despite if you're innocent or you're guilty, you have everything to worry about because it honestly doesn't matter. It matters what they can prove and what the jury decides to believe.
Yeah, it's supposed to be innocent until proven guilty, but it's guilty until proven innocent.
Especially if you're black.
Yeah, if you're black, you're already guilty when you step in there. You got to prove your innocence twice as you being a productive citizen and that you didn't really do what they're claiming you did. Because don't let them.
Productive as in not even smoking weed, because even if you smoke weed, you're
Exactly.
definitely
Like, because if they catch anything, any, just you smoking or anything, you're done. They got you. You smoked the devil's lettuce.
basically.
And that's crazy too, because white kids and most other just teenagers and all that stuff who smoke marijuana the same rate. Everybody loves weed. They use it. Not everybody, but like everybody smokes it. So the same people that are thinking that way, their kids or they probably have smoked too when they were young or whatever it is. But the people who are going through the most, if they smoke a little weed, you're
The people who need to smoke weed, who need to mellow out, who need to get away from the daily existence that it is being black sometimes just because of the way other people see us. Not the way we see us, but the way others see us. It's absolutely fucked up.
yep. Can't even cure our own anxiety.
Nope.
Speaking of weed, um, in Illinois, they just legalized it, and that's dope because a lot of places have legalized weed, but they did something even cooler and they pardoned the past convictions of anyone that had anything to do with weed. So they hooked up a lot of people and helped a lot of people out, expunged records, all that kind of stuff. That's dope. To get a pardon.
I wish we had air horns for that shit, because that shit needs air horns.
Yeah.
Like that's exactly how you do it. Not only do you legalize weed, but you pardon the convictions of everybody
That only makes sense.
who was that that doesn't it make so much sense?
Yeah.
Doesn't it make so much sense? Makes a lot of sense. But with other states haven't done it. Other states have not done it, nor refused to. So there are people in sitting. Is it weed? Is it not weed? Is it legal to smoke weed in California? Like I felt like it was always,
No, it
like no
wasn't.
one cared. No, it wasn't legal, but like
It was just so
it
common.
wasn't like as taboo as in other places.
Yeah, it's just so common because
It was common. So it was just like it was one of those things where as long as you weren't openly smoking it in front of a cop, you were good
not even
kind of
that.
situation.
It's because I smoked in front of a cop before it was legal, and I was younger too then, so that was a little scary. But police officers in California, if you're not a felon, if you don't have guns or any white drugs, you're gonna be okay.
Yeah.
You don't have no warrants, you'll be fine. They're not tripping off weed. It's because like we live in one of the most relaxed places in the world, luckily. But
Yeah.
however, that being said, we got the LAPD, some of the most fucked up police officers in the world as well. So like the weed, that's different, but they'll still fuck you up. They'll still fuck you up. But that I'm pretty sure that helped out a lot of people though with the pardons though, because now they don't have that felony on their record. They can get jobs, they can vote, like they can do so much.
They can open up a weed shop.
Exactly. Legally and do the same thing they were doing for years, making money and really legitly make money for themselves and their families now. And have a business, own a business. Ownership. They could finally own something. But from my understanding, most of those businesses are still operating on cash based and they can't really have like bank accounts and stuff like that because it's not federally legal.
I was just about to say that. So that's the only thing. And I don't see it being changed within this administration. But
Yeah.
okay. So to explain a little bit about how our government works, there are things that can be legal state-wise, and then there are things that can be legal federally, right?
Excuse me.
And it's weird because federal rules over state. But if you're in that state and it's legal, as long as it's not a federal case, you're good. So just to give y'all another example, I think it's legal in Nevada to have like a
I was
brothel
gonna
and
use
shit
that
like
same
that.
example. The Bunny Ranch.
The Bunny Ranch. That's exactly what I was thinking about.
Yep.
So like how I don't know who that guy's name is. He may have died.
Oh yeah.
I think he died.
Um. I'll tell you right now. Something. I think it's Hoff.
Yeah,
Maybe
some shit like
Dennis
that. I don't
Hoffman.
know, but
But
that dude was able to have basically a brothel which is not legal in the United States of America. Basically, you go and you smash a couple of women and y'all good, like everything's fine. Um, you could do that in the state of Nevada, but you couldn't do that anywhere else, and that's how it is with
yeah,
weed.
his name is Dennis
With
Hoff.
weed, oh, Dennis Hoff, yeah.
Patrick
So with
Dennis.
weed, it's the same thing. Like in Denver, it's okay.
Yep.
Illinois, it's okay. In DC,
Oregon.
it's okay.
Oregon. And
Oregon,
Oklahoma
oh,
recently, I
Oregon,
saw too. They just legalized psychedelics.
really?
Yep, in Oregon.
That's interesting.
Yes, that's very interesting. Because they in Oklahoma they love magic mushrooms. Well,
Hmm.
they're legalizing magic mushrooms too somewhere. I think it's Colorado. I'm not sure exactly. But yeah,
What if they did like decriminalized all drugs, like cocaine and all
they
that
did
shit, and
that
heroin and all that?
in Uruguay. In Uruguay,
Yeah, but like I'm talking about here.
yeah.
Like I wonder how that would, because
It worked out. That's what I'm saying. They did it in Uruguay, and it worked out fine. You know, the more addicts or whatever people that are on the street are getting help, all kinds of stuff. It's not as taboo. Like that would be great.
because with I know we're like kind of diverging from the topic, but uh what makes what makes drugs so potent is not necessarily the drug itself. Yes, is potent, like it can kill you, but at the same time it's not regulated,
Yeah.
so people have to find nefarious ways to get it. And there's this taboo around drug dealers and drugs and the people who do drugs, that it's just like no one really wants to talk about it. No one knows how to handle it. I think part of the reason is because it's not being regulated. So because it's illegal, it's like with alcohol and prohibition back in the day, right?
Motherfuckers going blind.
Prohibition. hmm It was like a big thing. Like there were people being like mob bosses tied to prohibition. It was basically the way the drug game works now is the way alcohol worked back like early in the 1900s. So if they were to decriminalize it, and actually regulate it, even though that sounds terrible, like regulate it, I think they do that to a certain degree in Canada
But
too,
no,
like in
we
Toronto.
kind of do though in different ways because, like me, for instance, I still am really into punk rock and all that kind of stuff. But I would meet a lot of like street punks and gutter punks and homeless people, people on the street, all that kind of stuff. So during that time, like I met a couple heroin addicts. Like,
Mm-hmm.
when they go to the hospital or something, I forgot what exactly, but they overdose, things happen to them. They could end up going to a clinic, and the government gives
Uh,
synthesized heroin, pretty much the methadone, and they already do it. It's just for certain people, like it just depends on who it is that they're treating and what they're doing it for. It's
hmm.
already regulated, illegal in different ways. It's just like if they're not in charge, they don't want you to have it.
That's true.
And if they can't own it because most drugs, well, not most,
Oh,
is that no, I'm trying to think of the ones that come from like natural substances and like that, like cocaine. You have to do a process to it, but it comes from
like
something natural.
opium
Yeah,
or
opium,
some shit like that.
poppy plant, all that kind of thing. Like those are, if they were to, I'm saying if they were to regulate it, those are just naturally growing, occurring plants and stuff like that. They would have to do some kind of altering to it and synthesize it so they could own it, like what Monsanto does. If they can't
Yep.
own it, there's no profit from it. So it's the black market. 'Cause, like it's like if they can't own it and have some say in what goes on with it, they don't want other people to have it because it gives them too much freedom to do what they want and too much power.
And then they criminalize it so that the people who do have power and control over it,
Stop.
they can eventually put in jail
Yep. Stop.
after they're done giving it to black communities.
Yeah. Yeah. Just they'll take drugs from this person and drop them off to their confidential informant.
Yep.
Like, thank you. We'll pay you for this to distribute this to your community, but don't you cross over into the white people's neighborhood because then we're gonna get you.
Yep. And see, but this is gonna sound bad, but that's kind of what's happened, and to me, it's karma because now you have a opioid epidemic hitting the Rust Belt in a way that it never has before. It hadn't in the past. So where we saw drug addicts or heroin addicts or things like that being more of like a city thing, which was like an urban thing,
Yeah.
which is code for black.
Yeah.
Now it's like a Rust Belt thing. So now it's all of a sudden there's this empathy, which is great. You just would love the same empathy for Black people. There's this empathy for those who are on drugs and who are using drugs, and now there are more initiatives trying to figure out um, how to help people stay clean and what to do to prevent people to be on drugs.
Yeah, they got fresh
Whereas,
needle. They're giving them the things they need to use the drugs and make sure they're clean, so they're not dying because it's their teenagers and stuff like that that are getting hooked on them. You know, like they got clean
which
needle
honestly is
programs.
great.
They're giving people that have family members and stuff like special drugs that are illegal and stuff like that to wake them up and to stop
Yes,
overdose and all kinds of crazy stuff like that.
my God. Like that, and all of that. Honestly, I think is great. I just wish
We had the
it was.
same treatment.
That's it. That's all we want is the same treatment, ladies and gentlemen. That's it. That we just want the same treatment.
And how they cracked down so fast when like um fentanyl was found because they motherfuckers started dropping. They were dying, you know, like
Yeah.
they had to put a stop to it. They like if they would have did that, because I see it happening, this opium crisis and what they're calling it, but I think crack was way worse.
Oh, without a doubt.
And they didn't have the same response because the people didn't look the same.
Mm-mm.
And again, that just shows what kind of environment we live in. Like they don't give a fuck. They know what they're doing.
Not at all.
We live in these ghettos for a reason.
I'm going to Africa, people. Y'all think I'm playing? One day we're gonna be doing this podcast, and I'm gonna be in Africa. And I'm not coming back. But to wrap this up, I just wanted to put y'all on game to somebody that I had randomly come across when I was just like, oh, I was doing. I was just looking like at the news and shit like that. But there was an article
Oh yeah, I almost
about a
forgot.
man. Yeah, this dude. The guy's name is Nathan Larson. Um, Not only is he a white supremacist, not only is he a misogynist, he's a pedophile. He's a real life pedophile.
Yep.
And then he doesn't think there's anything wrong with pedophilia. Like he's like, okay, like yes, I'm attracted to kids. I don't understand why that's a problem. This man was, I think, like I don't want to say he was mayor of Charlottesville, but
Um,
he had political ties and he was like
he is
running
a
like
politician.
yeah, he was a politician.
But all you have to do is Google his name, right? And
Just
is off to the right on Google. It says certified public accountant. Well, it says Nathan Larson, certified public accountant. And it says Nathan D. Larson is a perennial candidate for public office in the U.S. state of Virginia. He served 14 months in prison for the felony of threatening the president's life. He has advocated greatly curling women's rights and decriminalizing sexual assault, abuse, and incest, and is a white supremacist. And he's 38 years old, and he looks like Donald Trump in his younger years.
man looks like a pedophile for real.
Yeah, he looks horrible. And this dude is running for
Um,
office. Like this is literally to quote Donald Glover, Childish Gambino. This is America.
yeah, like that, yeah, yeah. But it's I don't understand. I don't want to spend too much time on this because I just don't want to give him that much time.
Yeah,
I don't understand how a person like that is able to just like live life.
yeah.
Like, how does nobody think
Somewhere.
this man is safe?
Oh, I forgot. I was trying to tell you this too, and it's perfect now that we're talking about this because you just reminded me. I believe it's in Alabama, just like where those crazy abortion laws are going on right now. They just
Mhm.
legalize chemical castration for anyone convicted of child-related crimes or something like that. But we got to talk about this
With
next
that,
time.
Oh, I'm with that.
They
I'm letting you know
chemical
right now. I'm
castration.
with that because like kids, nah, kids is I'm done at
I
that
agree.
point. There are
I
many
got
things
little
I'm
brothers
done
and
with.
sisters.
Yeah, like it's but like kids, that's a no.
Yep.
That's a no.
Yeah.
And I don't want you to just die. Like I'm not one of those people who are like, oh yeah, let's just kill everybody off. No, I want you to have a long
Okay.
and suffering
What do
life.
you learn? What do you learn?
Like
If
yeah,
you're dead,
like, what do you learn?
that's too easy. That's the easy way out.
Way too easy, bro. You gonna have a long and suffering life,
Man,
and you ain't gonna be able to do shit. That's how I feel about the situation.
man.
But yeah,
And the dude whose PP don't work, man, they got commercials for that. That's depressing.
mhm.
Well, that's what you deserve if you mess with some kids.
On God, on everything. I absolutely believe that. But is I think we did a pretty good time today.
Yeah,
All right,
absolutely.
y'all.
About
It's
10
late.
minutes.
It's kind of late where no, it's not kind of late. It's late where I am. So I'm gonna go ahead and wrap it up so I can go to sleep. But I didn't do it last week because I forgot to. But this week I have a book of the week for you guys, and it's called Unlearn. Unlearn by hold on 1 second. I just had dude's name.
While she looks for that, check us out at Perplexing Gen on Twitter, at perplexing underscore Gen on Twitter, perplexing underscore Gen on Instagram, and Perplexing Generation on YouTube. Gonna upload this. Check out our older videos, our recordings. Just support, follow, and then give us some feedback. Let us know what you think. We'd love to hear from you.
The book is called Unlearn, and it's by a man, and it's by a man named Humble the Poet. There
Humble,
we go. I can't talk today, but Humble the Poet. Yeah,
it's a dope ass name.
it's really dope, and I think especially as we get older, we do a lot of that. Like we spend our entire lives learning,
Hmm.
and then we hit 18, and then we have to unlearn all the shit that we learned
Yeah,
growing up
that you thought was right, that was happening
that,
in your
that
household.
you thought was right. Man, absolutely fucked up. So yeah, so go ahead and check out that book. It's 300 pages. That means it's a quick read. You can easily get through it. Now this is a pretty good book. I've already got it.
You know, it's hard for people to read in this digital age. 300 pages. I think they might have to check out the audiobook.
Hopefully not. Hopefully y'all can just rock with it. But nah, it's a good book, and I implore everybody to read more.
Most definitely.
I don't know. I think reading allows you to think for yourself because it's whether it's a fictional book or it's a nonfiction book or whatever the situation is, it allows you to be able to come to conclusions by yourself without the help of others.
Yep.
Right? So you think what you think because you are reading a situation and now you're able to interpret what it means for yourself before the idea is presented to you by somebody else with their own opinions already injected into it.
Yep.
That's what I think.
Damn straight.
Yeah.
Unlearned by who?
By Humble the Poet.
I gotta check that out.
It's a dope book, dope read.
But all right, y'all. It's great talking to you. Like always.
Yeah,
We'll be back with another
I
one.
feel the same way. But yeah, we'll be back next week, y'all.
All right, y'all. Peace.